Good evening and welcome to News Now on TV360. My name is Emily Agu. Members of the Ebonyi State House of Assembly have impeached the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Chukwuma Nwazunku. 18 out of the 24 members of the Assembly allegedly voted out the Speaker Monday morning. The lawmakers also lifted the suspension of 3 members before impeaching Speaker Nwazunku. The suspended lawmakers were Honorable Frank Onwe, Honorable Eni Udoma Chima, and the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Blaise Orji. The Nigerian human rights community has decried the ongoing impeachment plot against Governor Umaru Al-Makura of Nasarawa State. The group alleges that 20 out of 24 lawmakers in the Nasarawa State House of Assembly who support the impeachment are only being used by the presidency and the ruling People's Democratic Party, PDP, to unseat the governor in a bid to take over the state. Speaking on behalf of the group at a media briefing in Lagos, Kehinde Adeboye accused the presidency of a plot to turn Nigeria into a one-party state.
While we support the removal of governors who contravene the laws, the basis of which they were elected in the first place, we, however, strongly condemn removals induced by financial gains of the lawmakers. That is exactly what is happening in Nigeria today. The presidency is bent on taking control of all the 36 states, thereby threatening the plural content of Nigerian democratic culture. For instance, we wonder why the governor, Al-Makura, is being asked to go 2 years after he may have committed some of these alleged crimes. What were the lawmakers waiting for in the last 2 years? Why did they have to wait until his defection before the threat of his removal? We warn that this self-seeking plot aimed at strengthening the presidency and breathing down the neck of the opposition is in itself a huge threat to democracy and the rule of law. It underscores the whole essence of people's power when a man elected by the people is to be removed by the presidency simply because the subject decided to change his affiliation with a particular political party. We, in the human rights community, hereby condemn the action of the Nasarawa lawmakers as despicable, self-serving, and corrupt, and that the action portrays them as lacking in any shred of character and dignity.
Former head of state Muhammadu Buhari has condemned what he terms induced impeachment or threats of impeachment by governors in the opposition states by the ruling People's Democratic Party. Buhari in a statement said the recent developments in the country, even while the battle against the Islamic state Boko Haram is still ongoing. In a quote, he said, "Whether or not President Goodluck Jonathan is behind the guile of impeachment or the utilization of desperate tactics to suffocate the opposition and turn Nigeria into a one-party state, what cannot be denied is that they are happening under his own watch, and he cannot pretend not to know, since that will be akin to hiding behind one finger. In my capacity as former head of state, rather than a politician, I have spoken to President Jonathan in private over this issues, but indications are that the strategy has not yielded positive fruits. I cannot, just because I'm an opposition politician, fail to do what is expected of me as a former head of state to help rescue our nation in times of great trouble and probable uncertainty. The people's protest in Nasarawa is a sign of what is to come if the federal authorities continue to target opposition state governors for impeachment. In the long run, the impeachment weapon will be blunted. Positions will become more hardened on both sides, and Nigerians will become victims of arrested governance and possible anarchy." End of quote. A Nigerian Air Force Mi-35 helicopter crashed Monday afternoon at a location south of Bama. Military spokesperson Major Chris Olukolade in a statement said the helicopter, which was on a training mission, crashed due to technical fault. Olukolade said investigations have commenced to unravel the circumstances that led to the accident and that further details will be communicated as the investigation progresses. Meanwhile, the military has dismissed any suggestions that the crash may be a result of enemy action. Former Minister of Education and coordinator of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, Obi Ezekwesili, was Monday morning arrested by security agents at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Ezekwesili, who was on her way to London for a scheduled engagement, had her passport confiscated by the security operatives, but her passport was soon released to her about 30 minutes later, and she was allowed to board the plane. Meanwhile, the Department of Security Service has denied ever arresting Ezekwesili. Director General of the DSS told State House correspondents on Monday that there was no truth to the alleged reports. Former Minister of Petroleum Resources and one-time Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Roundup, is dead. He died early Monday in Vienna, Austria. Born August 26, 1938, Roundup became Secretary General of OPEC from the 1st of January 1995 to the 31st of December 2000. On the 8th of December 2008, Luqman was appointed Minister of Petroleum Resources by the Nigerian President Umaru Yar'Adua and held office up until March 2010. And still on Roundup, Senate President David Mark has expressed shock over the death of former Minister of Petroleum, describing it as a huge loss to the country. Mark, in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary Paul Mume, said that the death of late Luqman was a blow to the nation and described him as a man of honor and integrity, and that he will be greatly missed for his deep sense of wisdom and knowledge. The Senate President said that late Luqman had left a positive footprint on the sands of time and that the nation owes him a great deal of gratitude. And on business matters, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reaffirmed its commitment towards building a strong and viable financial sector. Godwin Emefiele, Governor of CBN, made this known at the 14th Annual Risk Managers Association of Nigerian National Conference, with the theme Risk Regulation and Financial Sector Stability in Nigeria in Lagos during the weekend. The CBN governor, represented by the Apex Bank's Director, Risk Management, Folakemi Fatugbe, said the central bank is dedicated towards ensuring that the banking sector is resilient against shocks. Fatugbe revealed that following the global financial crisis, risk management was an ongoing agenda of the CBN. She added that an indication of the CBN's drive towards advancing the economy could be deduced from the reduction of non-performing loans in 5% from over 30% in 2009 and 2010, respectively. And in foreign news, the early admission of HIV drugs may not stop the virus, new research has revealed. According to a study entitled Monkey Research and published in the journal Nature, HIV can rapidly form impenetrable strongholds in the body which early treatment cannot fight. It suggests that untouchable viral reservoirs form even before HIV can be detected in the blood. Reservoirs of HIV in the gut and brain tissue form a massive impediment in the way of a cure. In the study, rhesus monkeys were infected with the monkey equivalent of HIV, which is simian immunodeficiency virus, SIV. The monkeys were then given antiretroviral drugs as early as 3 days or as late as 2 weeks after infection. Treatment stopped after 6 months, but the virus re-emerged irrespective of how quickly antiretroviral treatment started. It showed that viral reservoirs formed incredibly early in the course of the infection. Dutch investigators have arrived at Torres in Ukraine, where the remains of victims of the Malaysia Airlines plane crash are being stored. The 3 forensic scientists are aiming to start work on identifying the 196 bodies kept there on a train. Pressure is growing on pro-Russian rebels to allow specialists to the crash site some 15 kilometers away. The US and other nations say there is a growing evidence that Russian complicity in the downing of the plane last week. All 298 people on flight MH17 died when it was reportedly hit by a missile. Russia has been accused of providing the rebels with an anti-aircraft system that was allegedly used in the attack on June 17. It denies these allegations. The United Nations Security Council has called for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian militants in Gaza as the death toll from the conflict has risen above 500. In a meeting late Sunday, UN Security Council members expressed serious concern about the growing number of casualties, according to the body's president, Ambassador Eugene Richard Gasana of Rwanda. The 15-member council instead issued a statement to the press, with Rwanda's UN ambassador calling for an immediate cessation of the hostilities. The members urged an immediate cessation of the hostilities based on the ceasefire that stopped the 2012 conflict between Israel and Hamas, he said. And moving on to sports now. 6 Shakhtar Donetsk players have refused to return to the Ukrainian city following concerns over the ongoing conflicts. Douglas Costa, Fred Denaterio, Alex Teixeira, Ismaili and Facundo Ferrari, who played for the Ukrainian champions, refused to fly back to the country after a friendly against French club Lyon on Saturday. Donetsk is currently controlled by pro-Russian rebels, with the Ukrainian army attempting to regain control. The club's owners, Renat Akhmedov, confirmed that the 6 players refused to return to Ukraine for the new season because of the conflicts around the club's home city. He, however, warned that the players might face sanctions, which include paying the club tens of millions as compensation if they do not return to the region. England captain Gerrard has announced his retirement from international football following his team's disappointing World Cup campaign. He announced his decision in a statement released via the Football Association this afternoon. He won 114 caps for England, scoring 21 goals in the 14 years since making his debut against Ukraine in May 2000. Gerrard's first tournament came under Kevin Keegan when he was part of the squad for Euro 2000. It was the first of 3 UEFA European Champion finals he would play a part in, with Portugal in 2004 and Ukraine and Poland in 2012. Gerrard captained England 38 times and is the 3rd most capped player of all time behind Peter Shilton and David Beckham. And that's it on the news tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Emily Agu. Do have yourself a lovely evening. Goodbye.